Hi. Hi. I am working with a new webcam. So work with me here. So far it looks good. I can see myself and I think the screen looks pretty good. So we'll see how it goes. And I don't see anybody just yet. Nobody just yet. Sorry guys about the late time, but I'm here with a hot cup of coffee. I'm drinking the rotisserie coffee holiday blend. Oh, it's so good. Hi, CB. Hi, Karen. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so I'm using a new camera, and this print is really small. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Sandra. Who is that? Carol? I'm going to have to make this bigger. Let's see. Can I make it bigger? Okay, that looks better. I can see that. Yes, rotisserie coffee. So I had a little bit of it's not an eye injury, but you ever have like a little red spot on your eye? It's like a bruise on your eye. And so it happened because I sneezed really hard the other day. And so that's why I'm in back in my glasses right now. But everything is fine. It's just, it just happens. Sometimes that'll happen, like, if you're lifting things too heavy, or if you're, you sneeze too hard or even cough too hard. Yeah, that can happen too. So apparently it happened. Hi, Rebecca. Thank you for all the blue hearts. Maybe you popped a blood vessel. That's normal. And, that's never happened to me before. And so that's what happened. But yeah, it's not usual that it happened to me, but it's the first time it happened. I was like, whoa, when I saw that on my eye, because I didn't feel anything. I didn't know what happened. And so I looked in the mirror because I was washing my face, and I was like, oh my gosh, what happened to my eye? And when I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay. So it'll be a couple of weeks in these, but it's all right. But anyway, tonight we are talking about what to do if you're getting the runaround from a medical coding school. How do you know if you should continue to pursue that particular school, or if you should try to look elsewhere? And also, it helps to know what it is that you want to do. A lot of times people think that when they get into this, that they have to have degrees. And with medical coding, you do not have to have a degree. And so that's what's so great about the certifications, is that the certifications hold just as much weight sometimes as the degrees do. And depending on what you're doing, can be more valuable in some instances. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Now, I am doing a little bit of a different thing. So I have a new camera that I'm working with. So hopefully everything looks good. The lighting looks good. I've been playing around with this thing for the last half hour. So hopefully we are good to go. Janice says, I went to a crappy school, wasted time and money. It was dreadful. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hi, Dina. Dina says, yay, I'm finally on, in need of your tutoring profession. We'll contact you as soon as possible. That sounds great to me. Yes. If you're interested in tutoring, before we get into the session, please let me know. And, please be prepared to let me know what time you're interested in. I am available after 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on the weekdays, and after, I say 10 a.m., but I'm probably going to have to push it a little bit earlier, 8 a.m. on the weekends. So if you're interested, please let me know. My contact information is in the description box, and it will be there as soon as I update the video too after the show. So, okay, great. I'm excited. Yes. So contact me after the show, obviously, because I'm in the middle of a live, and I will get right back to you. I'm very responsive when it comes to emails asking about, tutoring, or even just general questions or whatever. Sometimes I will defer the person to, if it's a general question, I'll defer them to a video. But if you are looking to get set up, I'm pretty quick about that, because Sessions are booked on a first come, first served basis. So that's why I don't, I don't take too long to answer to people, because time is very valuable and everybody's time is valuable. So yeah, just let me know. I'm excited. All right. So I'm going to read a letter that I got, which inspired this episode. And thanks so much for tuning in today, guys, because, yesterday I just got a little busy. So here we go. All right. So the letter goes like this. A year ago, I had thought, what if I got into coding? I decided to check the local 2-year colleges to see if I could get into a program. After all, we are talking about a few months into the pandemic, and it seemed like a good idea to look into it. I found a program, the only one out here that is in the community college space. After going through this person and that person for questions about the program, it became disturbingly clear that no one knew much about the program. I was shocked. It was recommended that I email the director of the program, which I did, and that was summer of 2020. I have yet to receive a response. I decided to try out something else. Based on that experience, I guess you could say that there was a bad taste for for the field of medical coding. I know that it was shallow of me, but I could not help but to associate it with a distasteful experience. Anywho, as this October, the thought occurred to me again. I started doing the same things, calling and asking questions like genuinely curious and student, same results. Again, everyone said, contact the director of the program. I was reluctant to do so for obvious reasons. I started looking up everything. Thank God for YouTube, LOL. I went on searching things out, found some videos, then I found your channel, caps intended. I hate to say this, but I learned so much by watching your videos and doing more individual research, more than the school I was trying to find out about. Still, I wondered, why do I need this school? After talking with you and not minimizing the challenge, I realized I could probably, through diligence, pass the CCS. Originally, I wanted to get a RHIT, and I still wrestle with whether or not I should go for it. But as it turns out, my goals do not have to include this not for the CCS. I want to go for it, but I am not playing around. It is intimidating, and I know that I will need to put my best foot forward. After getting the answer to all of my questions, I decided to try the director again, just to prove to myself that she was really being unprofessional. As the school website does not adequately describe how the application process works, guess what? She did not respond. I enrolled in some classes that I saw that would be required for the HIT program, and I found myself on the waiting list for one. Last week, I emailed the instructor of that class, and he told me that he would have to ask the director if I qualified to be in the class. She quickly responded as she was included in the email, then asked me to return the application to her by January the 15th, 2022. That's great, right? No. The thing is, she had not responded to me this whole time. On the website, it says to contact her for office hours if you have questions about the program. I did, and again, I got no response. This program is properly accredited, but I just don't want to deal with it anymore. I feel that this is exceedingly unprofessional, and I am quite frankly turned off. I feel like this will be my experience with them. Even if I return the application and am accepted, you know what they say about first impressions. Besides, I feel like I really don't need the RHIT anyways, so why bother? Any thoughts on this? I think you talked very briefly on how a lot of these programs don't respond or help you. That's why I am hesitant to pay for any of these programs where they claim to train people and they charge nearly $3,000. And Blue, I'm sorry this is long, but I wanted you to get an accurate picture of the sequence of events that I'm discussing in this email. If this were you, would you just forget about this program? And I want to thank the viewer for sending that email in. Yes, absolutely. That is my that is my answer. I definitely would not go through that program. And the reason that I would not go through that program is because of their unresponsiveness, even just to the admission process. Can you imagine when you're in the program, what it's going to be like then? I feel like if they're not responsive at that point, what is the point of them? The thing with health information and medical coding and whether or not you should get the degree, really does depend on what you want to do. Now, there are many reasons that people can go through their entire careers without a degree and still have successful careers and still do really well financially. It's not that the fact that the degree gives you anything extra. The degrees are different in that they are really designed for the managerial side of the house. A lot of times these employers will ask for even degree holders to have a certification, because the concentration of degree programs is not coding. It is actually the managerial side. So statistics and human resources type activities is really what drives those programs. So thinking about that, now, if you know that, medical coding is really what you want to do, and perhaps you're just not ready, or perhaps you're just really unsure. If you are unsure about getting into the degree program, I would follow that feeling. I would follow that, and I would listen to myself, because, degrees are very expensive. Find out if you like it first before you start pursuing a degree. There are many degree holders out there, RHITs, RHIAs, who have the credential or who have the designation and don't care for the field at all. So it's really a waste of money when you think about it, because they're very unhappy. They don't like their program. They didn't like, their teaching. And now they are an unhappy professional in our profession. So where you get trained and the energy that goes into your training, it goes far, and it does a lot to the individual. It really is up to the individual to change their perspective on that. And if they don't, then again, you're going to have that unhappy professional. So this is what I say. If you are getting the runaround from the school, they don't know, contact this person, contact that person, forget it. Don't even try. And I would not pay them anything. I would not pay to go to their school. I don't care what the reviews and the feedback is. If you can't answer my questions, you're not getting my business, period. There are other places to go. And as I've said before, going through the associations themselves directly, both associations have their own online medical coding programs. You can choose from either one. Both of them are reputable. Both of them are good. People ask me all the time, which association is better? I will never say that one is better than the other, because they both have their pluses and they both have their minuses. It really is on the individual credential holder, the individual association, because both of them have different pros and cons to them. It's just depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a grassroots movement, lots of people, AAPC is the way to go. With AHIMA has been around forever. AHIMA is the oldest. They are the most involved with Capitol Hill, and they are the leader. They are the trendsetter. So it really is entirely up to you which way you want to go. But if you're struggling to find a school and they won't let you talk to the instructor, they won't answer your questions, keep moving, because they're not the only school in town. There's lots of schools online. However, if I will say this, if you're going to go look at an online school, like one of these big ones, and I'm not going to mention them by name because they're not paying me and I do not want them to get advertisement on my channel. And I do that for many reasons. I do that, number one, to protect all of you, because I'm not going to talk about something that I have not personally been through. I can vouch for both associations because PC. But with these other ones, again, I have never been to these other online schools. I've seen these online schools charge upwards of $30,000 or $40,000 for a CCS certification, like to train, and that's too much money. You can get a degree for that at schools, and you have to look at what they're offering you if you're insisting on going to a program with them. Now, to me, that's an awful lot of money when you can go directly to the association and spend $4,000 or $5,000 and still get the same kind of education. You're essentially going to be learning on your own anyway. unless that school has a reputation for being very hands-on with the instructors and things like that, then that's something different. But choose carefully and do not get sucked into these programs that are cheaper, that are, well, we have this certification and we give you a voucher and it's free. Guys, don't do it. Don't do it. And the reason that I say don't do it is because you can look in your local area for that certification that is not with AHIMA or AAPC, and you will see that it is not asked for. Now, if what those people can do. Those other things are more for billing, and you do not have to be certified to be a medical biller. Now, there are classes out there that you can take for billing. There are books that you can get to learn medical billing on your own. And that is a simple Google search. That is literally a simple Amazon search. If you're looking to order off Amazon or even eBay, you can check those out and look for billing workbooks that will help you. I do have to look up a, a billing workbook that I need to recommend because I did see it. It was really good. I liked it. It was a workbook, and I was like, this will work for people that are looking for billing workouts and exercises that would make you better. But what makes you better as far as your crafting insurance is like Aetna and Humana and all of those. So those are that you can do to make steps towards being a better medical biller. When you are trying to choose a medical coding program, if it is training you for AHIMA or AAPC certifications, that's great. You want to go to something like that. Start off with a certification if you are unsure of which way you want to go in your career field. Don't start off by doing a heavy investment of thousands of dollars and getting into student loan debt. It's not worth it when you can go through a program that's just a few $1,000s, or get scholarship money, go to your local workforce office and get into the WIOA program, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act program. I've done a video here on YouTube. That was how I got my certification and not my certification, but my schooling paid for medical coding. So I was unemployed and I went to the unemployment office or get into medical coding. So it's always an option out there. If you are in a low wage paying job, if you've been laid off, that is something that you can see if you qualify for, rather than spending it out of your own pocket. Okay, guys, you got to be smart about these things. And if you're not getting what you want right away from the school, even before you sign up, move on to the next one. There's hundreds of schools out there that are happy to have your business. So if you don't get what you want from one, move right on to the other one. All right. Hi, Christina. Thank you for joining me. Janice says, sounds like my experience. I say forget them. Yeah, you need to communicate. You'd think they'd know what it felt like before they received their credentials. Blue, what about boot camps? I'll come back to that one. Christina, for my program, I got the state to pay for it. Hi, Dazzler. Good morning. Okay, so with the boot camps, you really do need to have some kind of experience with that particular coding. I do recommend HC Pro. They are an online boot camp. They have boot camps for evaluation and management. They have boot camps for inpatient coding, outpatient coding. They have CDI boot camps. So there's a plethora of boot camps you can go through on the HC Pro website. I will say, however, it is very expensive. They are over $1,000. A lot of them are close to $1,000. It is 60-day access to this software that they have. And again, it is really good. I like it. But then again, I had experience as far as like teaching before or learning before in inpatient coding. So if you are not familiar, if you are just trying to learn, those boot camps are not the way to go, because you really do have to have some grasp of what's going on before you try to get into something like that. If you're trying to use it to supplement what you know and your knowledge, and just to kind of like get over that feel of, I did self-teaching, and I want to make sure that I really understand. Can I get through this course? That would be a good alternative if that's what you were wanting to do and you had the funds to spend money on that. That would be absolutely a good thing, I think. I am jumping in a little later. Thank you for having this live stream. You're welcome. Does it count as experience? Going through a boot camp, or are you talking about going through Practicode? CB. This is a small audience tonight. Mm-mm. Experience is working. Experience is actually clocking in, working through encounters and clocking out. Experience is having a productivity standard and an accuracy standard. That's experience. So these boot camps do not count as experience. Practicode does not count as experience. Practicode is an educational product. I've said it is a very good educational product. It's a little expensive, but people are willing to pay because they said, well, if it accelerates the removal of my apprentice status, I want it off of there because if I'm an apprentice, I'm not getting hired. That's not true. Apprentices get hired all the time. But what happens is a lot of times people don't understand that when you have an apprentice status, this just says that you have less than 2 years of working experience. If you accelerate that removal of the apprentice status, you still have the same problem. You still have no experience. You still have little to no experience. And so while you may not have an apprentice status, you still can't put anything else on your resume. So now you've spent extra money to accelerate this process and you still have no job to go along with it, because a lot of times that's what happens. People, they say, well, if you, and they word it kind of funny and so that people interpret it as, if I go through Practicode, it's considered work experience, and it is not. And they are quite shocked when they find out that it is not work experience. When I do resume rewrites, what I put Practicode under, because a lot of times, sometimes people will think, is it an internship? Can I say that it's an internship? No, you cannot. What I put it as is education. And there are some employers that say that they're perfectly fine with education. They will say, we'll take education in lieu of experience. So they're willing to take something like Practicode in that instance. And that's fine. That's why I say Practicode is a good educational program. However, there are still workbooks that you can get that would teach you just the same or if better than the Practicode program. Okay, so that's entirely up to you. But again, it's an additional fee. And even if you're working and you say, well, I want to hurry up and remove this apprentice status. If you're working already, that apprentice status will go away in 2 years' time. If you already have your job, why are you spending more money for something that is going to be removed anyway naturally? Right? So that is what I would suggest if you are looking to hurry up and remove the apprentice status. And I am going to be doing a video specifically about apprentices this week as well. So that would be my recommendation on that. What I have to say, in my opinion on it. Again, it's my opinion. And I've been a professional for over 13 years, and I wouldn't tell people things that I wouldn't do myself, right? Because there's plenty of self-serving folks out there that are always willing to sell a product. And I'm not willing to sell anything. What I am is trying to tell you all about the field and what it is and what it means and what these employers are looking at when they see you. As somebody who writes resumes, I speak coder. So a coder knows when another coder is speaking to another coder, right? And so when I see a lot of these and people on LinkedIn will post, specifically the ones that are on LinkedIn, that they will post their resume for everyone to see. And I see that they're not highlighting their skills, and I see that they're trying to put Practicode as an apprenticeship and that kind of thing. When they say, well, technically it is. Well, no, technically, when you think about an apprenticeship, right? An apprenticeship where you're actually there and you're learning. Is that you're actually someplace and you're learning from an elder, or you're learning from not an elder, but somebody who's seasoned and experienced. And that is when you're doing an apprenticeship. You're learning directly under somebody. With Practicode, you are just learning from a program. And it is just reviewing case studies, and you don't have multiple choice in this instance, but you are getting through these that way by looking them up. But then again, you get the answers and you get the rationale too. So something that you can get from a book. Just my advice anyway. CB says, yep, I have seen job ads for CPCAs. There you go. Dazzler, I am wanting to transition from a 20 plus year of retail career to a health and medical career before getting a certificate and getting all the credentials necessary. How can I make my resume stand out and get a call back for a medical coding job? I do not have any connections, as most of the people or references I have are not in the medical field. So I have done videos on resume tips for brand new medical coders, and I encourage you to go to my YouTube homepage and check that out. Just type it in the little spyglass, resume tips for new medical coders. I've done that several times. There's like maybe 3 or 4 videos out about it. So plenty to choose from. But yes, that's what I recommend when it comes to those things. Guys, you can't believe everything you hear. And a lot of times I hear people, especially the ones that say, well, if you have an apprentice status, you can't get a job. And then I hear people say, well, I have apprentice and I can't get a job. It's like they're parroting it back. What they hear, they're just repeating it back. And so, like I said, I just want you guys to know that just because you have an apprentice status, it doesn't count you out. Thank you. So the other thing that they asked about on the email, let me bring it back, was excuse me. There was another question in here. I thought there was another question, but trying to decide whether to get the degree or whether to start with a certification. I always say start with a certification, but when it comes to the degree, we've all had it drilled into our head. Oh, you need to have a degree to get any kind of really good money when you are out in the workforce. And with medical coding, that's not true, depending on what you're doing. If you are wanting to get into those elevated positions of leadership, then you're going to want to look at the degree programs. But people, I think that they start out and maybe the school recruiter told them about the degree programs instead of the certification programs. It's because they're trying to sell a longer term product, and they're trying to get more money out of that student. And so if that student is not doing their due diligence and checking things out for themselves, that's when, people can be taken advantage of. And I just hate to see that happen. Christina says, I do have some good news. I have a job interview on Tuesday at a doctor's office for a medical clerk position. Well, there you go. There you go. That's awesome. Kraft says, congratulations. So, it's not impossible, guys. You just have to not get discouraged when you're out there. And if you're studying, if you want to do independent study as opposed to going to a school, I do have the independent study list, and it lists a lot of books on there that will help you to study. But it does take you, and it does take discipline. And I'm going to keep talking about that. I'm going to keep driving that home because people just think that this is something that is so easy, and it's not. It's almost it's terrible to hear when people think that it's so easy, or they have misguided thoughts about what this actually is, and it's hard work, but it's good work. It's honest work. And it's, you have the puzzle. You're always going to have the puzzle. As us as medical coders, we know. But is there any other questions about, run around from the school? If you're not feeling the vibe from the school, just move on. That's my advice. Let's see. What else can we talk about? Any other questions so far? Y'all are kind of quiet. Yes, no. That is sad. Yeah, it is. It is. But what can you do? What can you do? But like I said, I hope that y'all do your research. If you're going to go through a college program, make sure that program is good. Make sure that you have checked to make sure that it is approved with CAHIM. They are the certifying body because not all of these college programs have an approved curriculum to sit for the RHIA or the RHIT. The RHIA being the bachelor's degree that is a registered health information administrator. The RHIT is a registered health information technician, and that is the associate's degree. Tangela, hey, Blue. Hi. Do you know any resources for radiology coding other than books on Optum? From Optum, that's about all I know. Kraft says, I previously decided not to change my job while terminology and anatomy class, but received a call from a temp agency that has a few jobs that will pay a couple of dollars more than what I'm making now. I'm so glad you got with the temp agency. You know, I don't know if it's because you watched the show or if you got with them on your own, but that's awesome. You know, the temp agency is one of those things that people don't really think of when they're looking for a job. And, you know, new medical coders or even students of medical coding, if you have watched any of my videos, you know, I always encourage you guys to get registered with a temp agency so that if you have, they can get you any jobs that are in the health information field that, you know, that will be more to put on your resume. And you can't just discount it just because it's not coding. It's dependent on what position it is. If it's in medical records, if it is, you know, in release of information, if it is in prior authorizations, those are you know, going to get you into the setting, or it's going to get you some exposure to codes, you know, in the coding. So that is very, very important. And when you have that, that's when they'll start, okay, this person knows a little bit, so we can go ahead and work with that, you know. Dazzler said, that is awesome. To Crafts, Tangela, thank you. I saw that in Optum 360 Encoder, but never looked into it. See? Optum 360 has a lot of really good resources and references for medical coders. This is not an ad for Optum 360, but I just love them. I've always trusted them. And I will always recommend them before any other publisher because the comprehensiveness of their books is what I look at, and all the helpful tips and all the things that are included. That is what I like about their books. And again, simple, straightforward, very clean, lots of really good illustrations in them. They just make the best books, in my opinion, anyway. Crafts will be much better than doing call center work. Oh, I heard that. I'm going to see also if they have any medical jobs currently that I can apply for while I get my certificate in coding. There you go. Okay, good. Dazzler, I currently am taking a medical terminology course, and I'm hoping that gets me into the medical field, medical office, hospital field to gain some experience as I complete my medical coding and billing courses. Well, it never hurts to try, you know. That's what you have to do. And, you know, knowing your medical terminology is the key to success because medical terminology is a monster. There's so much of it to learn. But when you take the time and you learn your prefixes, your suffixes, and your root words, it's going to make medical terminology a lot easier. I'm just saying. All righty. Oh, good. We got more people in the room. So that's my advice on that. Don't be scared of your apprentice status when you get your CPCA. If you are sitting for the CPCA or the CPC and you get the apprentice status, and you have that, and you're out there and you're wondering, well, is this going to help me? It just means that you're new. What they are really looking for is a lot of hand holding. If you're somebody who shows a lot of uncertainty and you're going to need a lot of hand holding, that's a problem because they want you to basically be able to be plugged in anywhere and you're good to go. That's why I say employers are lazy and they're not going to want to train you on the basics of medical coding, especially if you've gone through a very fast-paced medical coding program. That's the problem with these fast-paced medical coding programs is they pump these coders out and they get them to pass these certification exams, but they don't teach them how to medical code. And I've talked about that in the previous episode. If they're not teaching you how to code and you feel like you're just learning how to pass the certification exam, it's going to take you to do the heavy lifting and actually work with the books and not have to be prompted to do that. There's a lot of people who say, well, my teacher didn't teach me, so I'm frustrated. Well, there's other things that you can do and not just rely on that teacher. The teacher is a paid employee. And they are, or if it's their program, it's their program, and they're going to give you whatever it is that you paid for. But with these teachers, you never know. Some people are in teaching positions because they couldn't make it as a coder. They couldn't keep up with production or they couldn't keep up with accuracy. So they got plugged into a school and that's what they do. They're proctoring from a book. So sometimes that's what happens. And it really all depends on the individual. Not all teachers are like that. Some are very good. Some are, when they put out medical coders and they tell me what school, okay, then I know that they had a good shot at learning. I don't know them personally. I don't know their instructors personally, but I know from listening to that coder, to that brand new coder, if they were taught properly to critical think or not, and that plays a huge role in it too. Let's see. CP says, I'm excited. Blue question. So should we memorize the CPT codes and the ICD-10s, or when you say study, do you mainly mean the guidelines? You're not going to memorize the codes. There's nobody that can memorize these codes. And if they do, they're freaking genius. And these codes update. You can learn the ranges of the codes, like the 10,000 series is the integumentary system in the CPT book. And the M codes are the orthopedic codes or the musculoskeletal codes in the ICD-10 CM book. You can know the ranges of the codes. That is good. But I do recommend reading the guidelines repeatedly because as adults, we learn differently from children. And the key to adult education is repetition. Repeat, rinse, and repeat. Reading the coding guidelines once per week will help you. It will save you and it will make you think, even though you may feel like you don't understand what these guidelines mean and what's happening when they say these things. It doesn't matter because at the end to figure it out right away because you know the coding guideline for it, you'll thank me later. Okay, so Patel says, can you please guide me on how to use reference the official coding guideline in the ICD-10 CM book, for example, 1C. So let me get my book in a minute. So Dazzler says, what is considered a fast school or program? Is it less than a year? Less than 6 months. That's fast. Anything less than 9 months to me is fast, but I know the AAPC program is 8 months. That's fine. If it's 8 months, it's just shy of 9 months. To me, 9 months is a good amount of time to be in school. But there are some programs out there that are 6 months. Some are even 4 months. And to me, that is just too fast. I don't care who you are, what your background is, whether you have a medical background or not, it doesn't matter. Trying to learn medical coding in 4 months is ridiculous. Kraft says, meanwhile, my current employer has taken a whole week and it still hasn't decided if they will let me go from working to 40 hours to just 32. Been there almost 5 years. Oh my goodness. Com says, grr, I failed the CPC by 9 points. Just got my results. Oh my goodness. From the online exam. I am so sorry. Relax. Hi, Jamie. Thank you for all the blue hearts. Kraft says, that's too bad at relax into calm. No doubt you will get it next time. Dazzler, how much has the field changed since the pandemic began? That's kind of a broad question. What do you mean specifically, Dazzler? CB, so studying should consist of reading the guidelines and taking practice tests. Thanks, Blue. I just want to be super duper clear about reading the coding guidelines. Absolutely. Going back and forth and orienting yourself to the book is key. If you have not flipped through every single page of your books, that's a problem. Make sure that you do yourself a favor. You open up the very first page and you start flipping. You don't have to read everything, but what you do have to do is orient yourself. A lot of people to the books. A lot of people will say, well, you know, I didn't pass my test, or I didn't do well, or I just don't understand. Okay, how much of the book do you know? Well, what do you mean? Well, have you flipped through the book? Have you looked at all the pages? Well, no, but it's tabbed. The tabbing has nothing to do with it. The tabbing actually gets in the way and it tears up your book. But if you're actually taking the time to learn the book, then that's going to give you a better chance at figuring it out. It takes a lot of reading. It takes discipline. It takes a lot of courage to start in something that is brand new to you. Maybe you came from a background of retail and you're, you know, just trying to get into medical and you're worried because you have no medical experience. I didn't either, you know, and I was in my late 20s when I got into medical coding. So it's not like I came from a background of this at all. But to answer Patel's question, wait, what is this? The night cat. I like that. Night cat. What should be the best way for preparation? During the exam, we will not have things. We will not. Wait, what? During exam, we will not have each things in our mind. What should we focus on, which would really help during the exams? I'm confused. Okay. The thing with, you're not going to have everything in your mind, and you're not going to know. So what things should you focus on? It is everything. Everything. And so that is your answer right there. That's the first part of your answer. How do I prepare? What do I specifically have to know? Everything. And when I say everything, I mean, do you know how to look up codes in the diagnosis book when they go crazy with their indentation? Do you know how to code those? Do you know that you're not supposed to get the diagnosis codes from the index, but instead from the tabular? But when you're taking the test, you're going to go straight for the tabular and look up those, whatever the multiple choice is. You're going to know, looking at those multiple choices, right, what code ranges they are. You're going to understand your modifiers and what they mean, because when they have them on the test, maybe that can be used to help you to eliminate a possibility that may be wrong or it may be right. And knowing what the codes look like, knowing what codes look like when they're on the right side or on the left side, or if it's a bilateral code, knowing what to look for in the codes, that's going to help you. Not trying to find the easiest way to get past the exam. Medical coding takes you understanding your coding guidelines. Number one, that you have to have been reading repeatedly. And I always recommend reading the ICD-10-CM coding guidelines once per week. And when you do this, even though you don't understand what's happening, it's going to help you, because you're going to understand the coding rules for injuries. You're going to understand the coding rules for mom and baby, and for heart attacks, and for strokes, and all of these things that you may be tested on. There's no way to know what these tests look like. I have not sat for any of AAPC's certification exams, but I have sat for 3 of AHIMA's. Now with AHIMA, none of those exams are the same. Not one of them. They are all randomly picked different questions. So that is the difference between those exams. You know, AAPC still has those paper-based exams, and they have the online exams. But I don't know what those look like. But if you're just trying to look for like a fast way, like what is the absolute thing I need to learn, then you're not learning enough. Because somebody who knows how to look codes up and get past those crazy indentions in the ICD-10-CM or even the CPT book, then they're not going to worry as much. If you're going over those workbooks, and the workbooks that I recommend time and time again, even if you are not taken an inpatient coding exam. The diagnosis coding in this that's taught in this book, and this is an AHA book, and you can find this very book on Amazon for $39, $39.99. If you get this book, it explains it in plain English. And yes, while you may be going through a program like AAPC or somebody, and you feel like they're not explaining it, this book has the answers, and it has very straightforward explanations. So that's why I recommend this book. I really like it. It helped me when I studied for my CCS exam, and I took and passed my CCS exam last year. I also took and passed my CCSP exam last year as well with the help of this book. And yes, while it covers PCS, that's the inpatient procedure coding, you don't have to do those PCS exercises. You can just stick to the diagnosis coding. If you are in a AAPC program, I know that their test is heavy on the CPT. And so there's very little diagnosis coding questions. However, in those scenarios, you may still have to see some diagnosis codes. So it helps when you really understand how to do diagnosis coding. Now, with knowing your CPT book, a lot of people will insist on, tab in this book and, that's how I can flip and know where I'm going, because I don't want to waste any time. If you're taking the time to flip through each of these pages, and if you do this and you get so familiar, you'll actually start to be able to open to the exact section that you need, because it won't be so unfamiliar to you. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going through that, I feel for you, because I know what it's like to not understand. I was there too. And when I was there, I know it was not fun. What do you study? But you have to keep going through those kinds of workbooks. Go through your CPC study guide. Now, this is also from 2019. It's cheaper. And then the 2021 version, which is the like $100 and something, this one was like $20. And it's got the same questions in it. It's even got the rationale in it too. Now, some of these codes have been updated, so that's okay. But fundamentally, the whole thing is not undone. I mean, the whole thing still has a lot of really good information, and it will help you if you simply go through this entire workbook. Now, when I took my CCSP, I studied with this book. Now, I didn't study as hard because I've had 13 years of experience, so CCSP shouldn't have been that hard, right? But I still wanted to study anyway. So I did go through some of these drills in this book. So there's 200 questions in here. There's a lot of illustrations for anatomy and medical terminology. And that's another thing. If you don't know your anatomy and medical terminology, you're in big trouble, because it makes looking up the codes a lot harder. If you don't understand your prefixes, your suffixes, and your root words, you're not going to really understand. You're going to have to constantly have that feeling of not knowing where to go. And it's better when you understand. That's why when I put out my independent study syllabus, I did put medical terminology and anatomy first, because you have to get that down before you start getting into the coding. Because it's not just about looking up codes, it's actually understanding why. At least that's just my advice anyway. Let's see. Hi, Flora. Thank you for joining me. So, and a lot of times when I tell people, you have to go through the workouts, you have to go through the study, you have to, go through these things, they get frustrated and they don't want to hear it. And, again, I feel bad, but that's literally the only way. There are no shortcuts. There is no easy button for this. This is not an easy field to begin with. We have to know what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. I say that all the time because it's true. And the more time you spend with it practicing, the better off you'll be, Yes, I will get to it, Patel, but I was answering this other question first. Like I said, I have done demonstration videos so many times on YouTube and nobody watches them. That's why I don't like to do them, because if I take the time to explain how things go and people don't watch, why am I going to spend time doing that when it's not appreciated? So actually, you can actually go through my videos and see where I've done that before, Patel. But just for that. So go through your book. If you don't understand, have somebody explain it to you. Find a mentor. Find somebody from the association that you can get hooked up with. I know that you have to be a member of AAPC when you are going through their program, like, and you're about to sit for your exam, you have to pay for your membership before you take your test. But when you go and you ask somebody to explain it to you, if your teacher won't explain it to you, maybe that will help you, because sometimes that's what it takes. Or try to find a tutor. If you can't find a tutor, there's a lot of tutors on LinkedIn. I'm a tutor myself. I try to accommodate as many people as I can, but sometimes it's just that little bit of investment in yourself to understand, like, something that's troubling you. Like, a lot of people that I tutor, they have a struggle with the neoplasm table or the external causes. So that's the reason that, when I'm able to explain it to them, they're like, oh, now that makes sense. And it's not so scary when you have somebody to explain it to you that's going to take the time to explain it to you. Dana, do you provide coding study syllabus? Yes, that's the independent study video that I did. Native, hi, thank you for the great info. When looking for a school, most programs offer medical. You're welcome, Nightcat. So medical billing and coding, these are synonymous with us. It's always going to be synonymous with us. You have to understand to know the coding as well. We are all asked reimbursement questions on these exams. You look at any list of what is covered on that exam, and some element of reimbursement will be on there. So just because you're learning it doesn't mean that you actually have to be a medical biller. And even programs that are saying, well, we only train for medical coding, they're still going to teach you a little bit about the reimbursement process, which is the billing part. So again, just because you went through it doesn't mean that you have to do that. I've been a 13-year veteran and I've never billed one day in my life. However, I do know some of the rules for Medicare, and I do know some of the rules for some of the private insurances, because that's my own research. And some of the things that they do. Sometimes there's a quantity max on some of these insurances, on some of these procedures, like for allergy testing, there's a cap on some of them at 80 tests. And so it really all depends on what you want to do. But just because it says medical billing and coding, it doesn't mean that they are going to be comprehensively teaching you about medical coding. So, yeah, and it's true. I have several independent study videos where I'm explaining the whole study process. And if you go to my my homepage, where you type in youtube.com/medical coding with Bleu, you'll see all of my videos listed, and then you'll see it's like a little search box, on the right hand side, and you can type in independent study, self-study. You can type in coding guidelines. You can type in anything right there. E&M, modifiers, all the stuff that I've ever done and taught about medical coding is all there. And if you're specifically wanting more exercises on medical coding, I do have my Patreon channel, medical code, or patreon.com/medical coding with Bleu. And I do my exercises there. If you're looking for crossword puzzles and games and stuff like that for medical terminology, that's what I do there. I tried to make it fun. I did a phobias worksheet last year where I listed all the phobias that you can have, and you had to put the medical term for it. And so I thought that was interesting, like fear of spiders is arachnophobia. It's good to know these things, especially, if you work in a particular clinic that sees patients that have those conditions. I'm just saying. Hi, Justin. Justin says, Bleu, coders are considered part of the revenue cycle in hospitals, right? Yes. Are billers, coders, auditors, and revenue cycle management the four main jobs in the revenue cycle? I would say, yeah, that sounds good. Hey, Jam. Excuse me. says, I regret the school I chose. Most expensive regret of my life. Oh my goodness. And I did a show a couple months ago, I think now, about if you regret your medical coding school choice. Sometimes people get sucked into these programs and the recruiter really did a number, really did a charm number on them. And they will say, oh, you can work at home and it's going to be so easy. And, it's just a few tests and, it's not that big a deal. And, you get all this money and, they just throw out every charm thing that they can. And when they do this, they get people sometimes that are like at a point where they just don't know what to do. They know they need to do something. And that's when they kind of zero in on that, and they know because they have a knack for that. They can spot it in people. There's some people that can look at people and know what they need. As far as like, okay, I know this person needs something. They need direction, but I have a product that I want to sell to them. So I'm going to sell that product and I'm going to tell them everything that they want to hear. They're a single mom. Oh, you can take your kids out on really nice vacations. You can stay at home with them. You can code remotely. You can make this ridiculously high salary right away, not knowing the whole time you need to work up to that because it's up to. It's not starting out at, it's up to. And so that's where they kind of zero in and kind of figure out what you need. But if that's the case, and you got taken advantage of and you feel like resentful towards the school, you have to take back that energy. You can't keep saying, well, it was a horrible thing and I blame myself and I'm hard on myself. It's done. It's done and it's over with. The only thing that you can do now is just pick up those pieces and move forward. So what can you do? What can you do to propel yourself forward? Get in the books and start teaching yourself. Get everything that you can from the school. If they have other resources like study resources, get all the resources that you can. Don't rely on them anymore. They've already showed that and say, okay, I'm going to turn this around. I am going to stick with this because I've already invested all this money. And yes, while I may not have gotten what I wanted and, this wasn't the best teaching, I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to pick up from this and I'm going to learn, okay, this may not be the way that I wanted to learn, but I'm going to learn this. And when you have that frame of mind, when you think about those things and you think about all the reasons why you decided even to go to medical coding school, why did you decide to go to medical coding school? So that you can provide a better life for your family and for your kids and for yourself. Then that needs to be your motivator. Forget about those people. Forget about the negative experience that you had with the school. The thing that you can do is when somebody asks you, what school do you recommend? You can tell them that you don't recommend that school and why you don't recommend that school. But that school cannot be the reason for your failure. That school cannot be the reason for you giving up, because a lot of people will write me and say, I went to this school. They made me so mad they wouldn't teach me. So I just gave it up, but I'm still paying on it. Okay. Are you studying medical coding on your own? No. Why not? Why not? Well, I just don't want to do it anymore. Why? Because the school made me mad. So the school that doesn't care about you and showed you that they don't care about you is still controlling you because now you still don't have a career to go to. They're still giving you the study material. So get that study material and pour yourself into it. Find a mentor, find a tutor, somebody that can help you. My tutoring rates are very reasonable. $25 for the first hour, $20 for the second hour. Reasonable. And I do that because I know a lot of students need help. I do that and I try to make it as affordable as I possibly can. So for the time being, that is my rate. So I want you guys to know that there is help out there and move past it. Don't let that steal what you wanted, which was your why, which is why you decided to do it. Get into it and discover it. Discover it, because trust me, I didn't know that there was that passion inside me when I finished the school. When I finished with the school, I wasn't taught. I was sat in front of a computer and I said, here, learn. I didn't have anybody to ask. I didn't know. None of my friends were medical coders. Everybody I knew worked in a bar and lived in a halfway house. And the one instructor that the school had, this creepy guy who to this day, just the thought of him, just like, ugh, ugh. But he was the only one there. And he was the one who came in. He was our instructor and said, oh, yeah. And they would give us these seminars. Okay, dude. Never really taught us anything. So I stayed out of those classes because he just creeped me out. So I learned this all on my own. And it takes you having that strong drive. You know, my mom supported me through that whole time. And I was lucky to have her as long as I did before she passed away. She passed away when I got here, which was not long after I started my medical coding journey. I was a medical coder just a little over a year when I lost her. And that was hard for me because she was the one who pushed me through those times when I was like, oh God, I don't want to study. I don't want to do this. I'm tired. She's like, nope, got to get in there and got to get it done. And I was lucky in that. And I, like I say all the time, I wouldn't have my career if it wasn't for my mom. And I'm so blessed and thankful for that. But it took me to, as far as saying, okay, I was going through a divorce and it was a bad divorce too. It wasn't pleasant. And to hear, you're not going to do it, you can't make it, and blah, 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 all in my ear. Okay. All right. That's all right, honey. It's all right. I got this. I'm going to turn my life around. And that's exactly what I did. And now I have a wonderful career because of it. I don't have a job anymore. I'm not working. This is not work to me. I go to a place that I enjoy. And I enjoy my providers as much of a challenge as they give me sometimes. But I love what I do. And I haven't been working since 2014. Working in the sense that, oh, this is a job and I go here to collect money. No, I go because I have a career and I have a passion and have a joy for it, which is why I also do the channel and tell you guys about it. But I also tell you that this is your life, is your career, your choice. And if you're going to see it as something that you hate, then that's what it's going to be. But if you see it as, this is a challenge I'm going to rise to meet, those people are the ones who find fulfillment. And you'll find it if you let yourself. But if you don't let yourself and you always have that resentment in your mind, what are you going to have then? Find something else. But if you find another thing, it may just be the same thing over again. And you're chasing something. You're chasing an idea. You're chasing a dream with no goal. You have to have a goal in order to be successful, in order to get somewhere, in order to find things that you want in life. I have found so much fulfillment in medical coding. You guys have no idea. It helped me keep my head above water. It saved me time and time again. And these videos, these YouTube videos will live on in perpetuity. They will. They will live on as long as YouTube is here. These videos will live on. And a lot of my older videos too have touched people or they've helped people. I get that from sharing my experience. And that's amazing. And when people tell you, Blue, I got a job today and it was because of you. You know how that hits right here? Because I'm sharing what I love. And now this person is going to be able to discover it because they changed their way of thinking. They did the research. They went and they found my channel and they started looking at it differently. You have to look at it differently, folks. They're not going to teach you this in school. They're not going to tell you this. People are not going to hold your hand in real life. They're not going to do this. They're going to tell you it's up to you. It's a cold world sometimes. But it has to be you. And it has to be you to decide. And once you do, freedom, guys, freedom is yours. I'm just saying. Let's see. CB says they are very salesy. Native says, thanks, Blue. Do you recommend doing a program that doesn't cover both? Dazzler, CB, I agree. Crafts, I had looked at the coding program with my local community college, but it's a 2-year program and over $11,000. So I am going to the AAPC program. Justin, yeah, you got to be careful with these schools. Educational institutions in the U.S. are poorly regulated and for-profit institutions. Crafts, meant AAPC. I got you. Justin, sometimes it seems the cart is a cert is all you need. I've looked at so many job ads with the RHIA, RHAT is usually in the same level as the CPC, CCS. Christina Crafts, do not do AAPC. Do not do the CPC online. I had a horrible experience. Try to do in person if you can. CB Blue, I know you don't talk about money, but I always look at the 25% range for starters. Floor, I've always been curious about health insurances. Even though my instructors suck, I still moving forward on my own and making it true. CB Blue, don't change your rate. Craft says, for the test or for the classes? The test. CB, haha, I love when you mentioned the creepy guy. Oh my, that asshole. I can't with that guy. He just creeps me out. Craft says, for the test, I have already decided to do in person. Excellent. Floor, your mother is very proud of you, Blue. Thank you so much. And thank you for the blue heart. Christina says, Crafts, good. CB. Jamie, I love my job too, Blue. See, thank you. CB, how can someone hate coding? Oh, trust me. Jamie, I love billing and coding claims. I love coding charts. CB, I heard that, Blue. Floss on Blue. Floor, you are strong and brave. Jamie, I got my job because of your help. You're an awesome friend. Thank you. And thank you for the blue hearts. Jamie, CB, hands clapping. Justin, the coding path, medical coding path is a struggle, but despite all the distractions, I am trying to march forward to the day I take the exam. There you go. That's all you can do. You know, like I said, no one is going to do that but you. No one is going to be in that exam room but you. And the more that you focus on that, the better off you'll be. And you really have to build up a thick skin. This is why I tell people, be careful about sharing, like on social media with different people, people that are not in the field. Be careful about sharing with them because they tend to like foo-foo medical coding. And a lot of times when people foo-foo medical coding, they say, oh yeah, my aunt says I shouldn't get into it. Is your aunt a medical coder? Oh no, she works at a gas station, or she's a secretary or something like that. And why are you listening to her? She's not a medical coder. Why are you listening? Her heart may be in the right place, but you never know. And so again, if you're interested in medical coding, you should talk to a medical coder. Well, my friend is a nurse, and my friend says that my friend the nurse says, oh, that medical coders, they're going to go away, and that's a bad job. And again, is that nurse a medical coder? Well, no. Again, why are they talking about a profession they know nothing about? And even though I tell you guys, yes, I am biased when it comes to medical coding, I will also say that it has its pluses and its minuses, and I've talked about them before. I've been very frank about them. And of course, we all know that it's difficult in the beginning. But again, if you have that discipline and you take the time to be like, okay, I'm going to keep going. I may not get it, but I will eventually get it. CV says, yep, it's going to be worth it. Yep. So, that's the ins and outs of it. It's not going to be handed to you, and don't let anybody take that dream from you if that's what you want to do. If you want to do it, you'll do it. I missed. It's okay. I'm still here. But uh, you have just missed me firing up, firing up the crowd, talking about medical coding. And you know, if this is what you want to do, you're going to do it. If not, then don't. And people who are struggling, there's so much help out there. You got to learn how to help yourself, though. You have to learn how to get into these books. You have to learn how to reach out and ask for help. Don't be too proud to ask for help, but also show at the same time that you've done your research. When sometimes when people reach out to these association members and they say, well, how should I do this? How should I do that? Try to say first, hey guys, I have a question about this. I see this, and this, but I don't understand this, and this. And you would be surprised how many people will run to help on LinkedIn. I've seen people ask questions all the time on LinkedIn, new medical coders, and there's a lot of people that are willing to help when the person shows that they're trying. Oh, I don't understand this. Why is it this way? And when you say, well, I've learned this, and this, then you have people coming in, oh, well, no, actually it's this. Or if you see this guideline, that guideline. Floor, haha. My old sister is I think older sister is a medical assistant, and her and my brother are always trying to hate on me. And anyways, always tend to ask if I have to memorize my codes. No, you do not. You do not have to memorize these codes. These codes get updated, and sometimes codes get deleted. So it really all depends on, what's happening with the code set. Look at the expansion of the COVID codes, right? The pandemic had seen a change in the codes. Obviously, it was unprecedented to have a new code created mid-year. That's never happened. And so it finally did in 2020. We didn't see that, however, until 2021 editions came out. And then, of course, 2022 saw the addition of vape. There was additional codes for vape as well. So, or more specific ones. And so there's a lot of things that get updated. You don't have to memorize all of the codes. Will you recall easily some of these codes? Yes, if you do them repetitively every day. M1 7.0, bilateral knee osteoarthritis. I got that one down. And I've got a lot of these procedures down. They're right here in my head too. So when you think about all the modifiers, of course, I know all of those off the top of my head. It's just a natural part of it. You will learn this with time. I mean, because it's repetitive. There's a lot of that stuff. But again, you don't have to memorize specific codes. And there's going to be things that you see that you're going to have to code repeatedly, that you're going to have to look them up every time because you can't recall them. I don't know, Kraft says, you got to believe in yourself, even though it may be hard at times. You don't want to give up trying. Use that to get revenge on the people who don't believe in you. There you go. And so, let that stop me. I didn't let any negative, oh, you can't do it. Yes, I can. If other people can do it, I can surely do it. But that was a commitment that I had made to myself. And a lot of times people have a problem with commitment, right? We see this now a lot with relationships, with work. Some people don't, they're looking for this magical feeling of fulfillment. And so you'll see them either hop from job to job, or sometimes it's relationship to relationship because they're looking for something specific. When the problem is they're not committed to themselves. They're not committed to what they want, as far as like, what is it specifically that you're looking for? Well, I just want to be happy. Do you think all those years ago when I first started that I thought in my head, oh, I'm going to do this because it's going to make me happy? No. When I got into it, it was because it was a good job. It was a good job, good paying job. That's why I got into it. And so the joy didn't come until later. Did it have its struggles? Yes. Because when they were telling me in the beginning, when I first got here, oh yeah, I read Coding Clinic. I said, what is Coding Clinic? What is that? Oh yeah, don't you read the updates? And I'm like, the updates? You know what I mean? Like, I was still learning a lot. I was still very green. I was still a very green coder. But all these years into it, and then we started getting trained for ICD 10. And that was in 2014. And all of a sudden, there goes the light bulb. And then I got it. Now I'm happy. But look at all the years I had to invest before I was truly happy. Do I still have stressful days at work? Of course. If anybody tells you that they don't, they're lying. Everybody has a stressful day at work. There was a few nights ago when I had a very stressful day at work, and I talked about it a little bit. But that's the thing. When you go through something stressful, sometimes you think that means this is not what I'm supposed to do. That's what that means, and they hop on to the next relationship, the next thing, instead of growing with those things. It's a commitment, guys. It is a commitment, and if you don't get that, you're in for a very uncertain field. You're in for an uncertain path for yourself. You need a goal, guys. You need a goal. You need something. I have a goal. I'm not going to say in specifics here yet, but I have a goal. There is something that I want to do. I want to achieve. I have written it down so that I can see it. Just like I did when I got my CCSP and my CCS. I wrote it down, had it where I could see it every single day. And people dismiss that idea. But now I have 2 credentials under my belt. So I think it works. I think it works, and I think it means something. Everybody has their different processes. But I still feel like when you take the time to do those things, take the time to invest in yourself and stay committed through the good and the bad, you'll be better for it on the other side. Which is my advice anyway. So. And Flora, don't worry about your family. Don't worry about your family. You know, there's always going to be, even the closest people around you may not support you. Your parents may not support you. Your old man, your old lady may not support you. Your kids may not support you. That's okay. They don't have to. You're doing this for your reasons, and your reasons will benefit others. And they'll see that with time. They'll see it with time. But you're always going to have other people, and they may have their reasons for being negative. It may be that they could never do that. And that's why they insult you. That's why they try to keep you down. You think I don't get insults? I do. All the time. Do you think I let it get me down? No. Do you think I know people talk about me behind my back? Oh, yeah. Does it bother me? No. Because their opinion of me is none of my business. I know everybody's heard that, but it's literally none of my business. Do I care what other people think about me? No, I don't. I care about me and being a good person and making sure that I share the things that I know. That's my gift, is sharing the things that I know and being a good person. That to me is success, because everything else is going to come with it. I don't have to seek it out. And people know that when I talk to them, it's genuine. People know when I treat them nice, it's genuine. I don't have to be fake. I don't have to. And because somebody else is talking about me behind my back doesn't mean that I need to go and be ugly about them. I don't. And that shocks a lot of people too. And that's okay. It's okay. It's all right. You know, this one lady, she was real nasty. She said a real nasty comment to me. And I said, do you need a hug? And she said, well, not from you. And I said, it wasn't an offer. And I hope you get that hug. Because some people are just hurting so badly that they're going to try to bring other people down. And especially an adult that's trying to go to school and trying to do something better for themselves, because it is a good field. But don't listen to them. You keep going and you shake it off, because again, what they think, it doesn't affect you. It's not for you. If you start listening to it, that's giving them the power. Somebody who doesn't pay my rent, somebody who doesn't sign my checks, I'm going to give them power? No. Bye, Felicia. That's what I say. It always makes me laugh whenever I hear that too. So, but thank you for the hearts, Miss. That is very special, Blue. Well, there you go. But yeah, so again, don't worry about it. Don't worry about those people. Don't worry about them. Yeah, don't worry about them. It's all right. It's all right. You just keep studying. And if people tell you you can't do it, yes, you can. And that's going to make you think even more that yes, you can. Yes, you can. Look at all these pro athletes out there that are the greatest, right? These greats. Michael Jordan, one of the greats. Look at his story. You know, there's a lot of greats out there that were told they can't do something. And they worked hard until they got what they wanted. You can too. It's not just limited to athletes and these great brains out there. You can too, you know. Jay's Blue's pep talks are encouraging. Thanks, Blue. But thank you for the blue heart. And it's, you know, it's what I like. I like to do that. I like to inspire people. That's what I like. And I think of that when I think of, you know, everybody should think of their legacy. What is it that they want in life, ultimately, right? And I think that, I mean, obviously everybody says that they want to be a good person, right? They want to be a good person. They want to be remembered for being a good person. I would like that and more learned from my experience, and it prevented them from going through the same thing. Worse. That would be what I would love, that somebody would learn from me and say, okay, this is what I got to do instead. I don't want to make that mistake. I don't want to do things wrong. You know, I want to learn. I don't want to be taken advantage of by other people. So I'm going to listen to somebody who's been there and who's known how to work these books and known how to talk to these providers, because she was yelled at. She went through that phase of being scared, scared to do a presentation, scared to do all these things. And this is how she overcame that. Because that's going to touch somebody else. And it's not just the coder, it's the provider that they're training too. So that's what I always hope for anyway. Somebody who made everybody laugh too, because, you know, I enjoy making people laugh and having that good energy. That's what I want. That's what I want. You're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you for all the blue hearts. So, but anyway, I guess I can go ahead and wrap this one up if there's any other questions. But stick to it, guys. Stick to it. And don't listen to negative people. Don't. All right. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about, I don't know, I guess apprentices. We could talk about apprentices. I had a whole list, and now I can't think of it off the top of my head. I know apprentices is one of the topics that I wanted to talk about. But if that changes or there's another topic that comes up, I will go ahead and bring that up as well. Because I had a couple of really good ideas for this week. So we'll see. Thank you for the hearts, Miss. I appreciate it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe already, I hope that you do. Please search my videos for those independent study videos. I post them all the time. They do have the syllabus. They do have all the books that I recommend. All of my videos have all of the books that I recommend. You do not have to click on those links. They are Amazon affiliate links, and I may get a commission if you do. So that's why you don't need CPC. Flora says, you have a good night, Blue, and have a wonderful day tomorrow. Thank you for the blue heart. Yes, CB. Crafts. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Bye. Yes. See you later, guys. Good night.